Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and open tonight's meeting of the Kalispell City Council. Mayor Johnson's under the weather tonight, so I'm going to take the gavel. Lucky you. I'm going to get a roll call.
Council President Graham.
Here.
Councilor Dowd.
Here.
Councilor Dahlman. Councilor Fisher.
Here.
Councilor Hunter.
Here.
Councilor Nunnally.
Here.
Councilor Carlson.
Here.
Councilor Gabrielle.
Here.
And Mayor Johnson.
And would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Ms. Carlson, would you lead us?
Oh, absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to look for a motion for approval of tonight's agenda. Mr. Nunnally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion seconded. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. On tonight's consent agenda, we have 4 items. The first item is our council minutes for February 3rd and February 10th, 2025. The second is wastewater treatment plant biosolids professional service agreement amendment with Advanced Engineering and Environmental Services. This item considers allowing the city manager to sign this agreement to support upgrading the biosolids dewatering equipment. Third item is ordinance 1933. It's our second reading. Emmanuel Living Skybridge zoning text amendment. This ordinance considers amending zoning ordinance 1677 to allow a pedestrian skybridge in BH and P zones to encroach into the setback area. And our fourth item is confirmation of police officers Matthew Pratzel and Connor McKinnon. This item considers confirming these officers as they have completed their 1-year probationary employment period. Is there any public comment on tonight's agenda? Okay. Seeing no public comment, look to the council for motion. Mr. Nunnally.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion seconded. Get a roll call.
Councilor Dowd.
Aye.
Councilor Fisher.
Aye.
Councilor Hunter.
Aye.
Councilor Nunnally.
Aye.
Councilor Carlson.
Aye.
Councilor Gabrielle.
Aye.
Council President Graham.
Aye. Motion carries, and I'm going to ask Chief Venezio to come and give your presentation of officers.
Good evening, Council, President Graham. Tonight I'm before you for the confirmation of 2 Kalispell police officers, Officer Connor McKinnon, who's second from my left, and Officer Matthew Pratzel. They both completed their probationary period with the Kalispell Police Department, and we're recommending and requesting the confirmation as patrol officers. Officer McKinnon was born in California. He grew up all over the country as a child from a military family. After high school, he spent 7.5 years in the United States Marine Corps, and then moved to Montana to start a career in law enforcement, following the footsteps of his father. Officer McKinnon has shown himself to be a quick learner, a great teammate, and a hard worker. He adapts quickly and has become a reliable and valuable member of our team at KPD. Officer Pratzel is a 4th-generation Montana who grew up here in the Flathead Valley. He came to KPD with 10 years' experience working as a missionary and humanitarian with Youth with a Mission, serving in over 12 countries in his time with that organization. He's the first member of his family to serve in law enforcement, and he has a great support system in his wife of 9 years, Kyla, and their 2 sons, Bryson and Atlee. Officer Pratzel sought this profession through his desire to serve his community. This is evident in the way he carries out his duties with strong character and integrity. We're grateful to have added Officer Pratzel to our ranks. It's recommended Council confirm both Officer Connor McKinnon and Officer Matthew Pratzel as police officers with the Kalispell Police Department.
Okay. Let me give this a try.
You guys can both take your badges off there. And I'll make it as easy on him as possible. Let's Officer Pratzel's first.
Okay.
You can call him Pretzel. That's what everyone else calls him.
glad he hasn't poked you yet.
Maybe I have.
Not that I'm showing.
I don't know, it's not.
I would be too.
Thank you for your commitment to our community and our keeping our families safe. But Mayor Johnson and I like to remind you that your main job is to go home safe to your family. Thank you. Yep.
Officer McKinnon?
Really? There we go. All right. All right, sir. Thank you for your service and thank you for your commitment to keeping our families safe. And please remember to go home safe to your family.
Thank you. Yeah, Officer Pretzel?
To the council, thank you. Thank you for what you guys do, for serving our community in your own way as well, and for confirming myself and Officer McKinnon. Chief and admin, thank you very much for hiring me. It's a risk to take on someone that has no law enforcement experience, but I appreciate it. And to my family, thank you very much for loving me and being there for me. Thank you guys.
I'll just keep this short. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for confirming myself and Officer Pretzel. I know we both went through quite a bit getting to this part, and it's a way longer road than where we got to now. And I'm just looking forward to many more years working for the city and learning alongside both you and my fellow officers that aren't here right now. And for my family that's watching right now, hi.
Thank you, Chief, for that presentation. Gonna get in, there's no committee report, so I'm gonna get in tonight's public comment. If there's any public comment on any item that's not currently on tonight's agenda, now would be the time to step to the mic with your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Dexter. I work with Citizens for a Better Flathead. I am here to comment tonight because we are concerned about the proposed reclassification and lowering of the water quality standards for Lower Ashley Creek. We want to make sure that there's adequate public engagement during this process. First, the Daily Interlake recently published an article that the proposal had already been submitted to DEQ. We just want to make sure this is correct because it is our understanding that the final decision comes from the EPA. We want to make sure that there's a process and timeline in place for public comment. We're also concerned that if the city is requesting a waiver of this water quality standard, then we also want to encourage that they be opposing the expansion of the project at the Lakeside County Water and Sewer District. We want to encourage the city council and members to review our science-backed comments that we submitted to DEQ on that project expansion plan and make sure that those comments have been circulated. If they haven't been, we can circulate those to you. We look forward to reviewing the complete packet from the city, and we hope that it is forwarded to CBF, Citizens for a Better Flathead. We reiterate that this is not an appropriate place for that expansion project, nor is it the appropriate place to lower water quality standards. And our further questions to the council or city in general include: what is the role of DEQ in approving this in the EPA? What is their role? Is the EPA, in fact, the final decision maker? Second, can you direct us to any other Montana locations where this has been done? And third, can you direct the public to a place to submit comments? I can give you guys time to answer or whatever is easiest for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, and really fast, were those comments circulated or should I be sending those to y'all?
I would think you would send them, but if you want to give something to Amy, if you have something to give, you would give it to Amy.
I will email Amy.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Even better. Thank
Yep.
you.
Any other public comment?
Just a quick addition. I realize that you're moving forward tonight with the approval of the dewatering for the current plant, and I understand some of the importance of that, particularly for our landfill, because they have to deal with the liquid, which is a challenge for our landfill to deal with. But I also was before you, I think several months ago now, asking that you really devote some time to looking at emerging technology for dealing with biosolids in terms of an energy source. I don't know that there's been any follow-up on that, and I would really like to encourage, if there are a few of you who would like to sit down together and begin to do some outreach on that as a topic, we'd be more than glad to work with you in a subcommittee just to bring some more information back to the council. A few years ago, I did extensive research. I brought you some of that information a couple of months ago, but it's time to reopen that and look at the options and to see if we can't really make some choices that don't stress Flathead Lake, Ashley Creek, and the water quality in that area, which is so fragile. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, going to move into tonight's reports, recommendations, and council action. 3 items this evening. The first is amendments to Glacier Gold Biosolids Management Agreement. Second is Resolution 6240, Emergency Purchase Buffalo Hill Well Repair. And the third is appointment to the Tourism Business Improvement District. First item, this item considers amending and extending the agreement for Glacier Gold to manage solid waste treatment sludge. Mr. Russell.
Yeah, Mayor, Council President, and Council, I'll turn it over to our Director of Public Works, Susie Turner, to give the staff report.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Before council tonight is a proposed amendment to our current sludge management agreement with Glacier Gold. Our current agreement expires in March of this year, but there is an option to extend the agreement through an amendment. Glacier Gold is preparing to close their operations. However, they will be remaining in operation until the city has completed the dewatering project at the wastewater treatment plant, which is anticipated to be completed by September of 2026. The amendment includes an increase in tipping fees to $370 per dry ton starting July 1st of 2025 and remaining in effect through the agreement term. The term of the agreement has been, the proposed term of the new agreement has been to extend it from April 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026. And then finally, the city does have an option to terminate the agreement before September 30th of 2026. However, we would be required to give Glacier Gold 60 days notice, allowing them time to prepare to close down the facility. So those were the 3 main items of the proposed amendment in front of council tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Any questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open this item up for public comment. Okay, going to close public comment and look to the council for a motion. Mr. Dowd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve the amended sludge management agreement with Glacier Gold.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Get a roll call.
Counselor Dowd,
Aye.
Counselor Fisher,
Aye.
Counselor Hunter,
Aye.
Counselor Nunley,
Aye.
Counselor Carlson,
Aye.
Counselor Gabrielle,
Aye.
and Council President Graham.
Aye. Motion carries. Move into tonight's second resolution. Second item, Resolution 6240. This resolution considers declaring an emergency to allow the city to bypass the formal bid process to acquire a contractor and equipment to expedite repairs at this well site. Mr. Russell.
Yeah, Council President and Council, as I mentioned at last week's manager report, this item will be coming before you to really expedite the repair of one of our well systems. As I mentioned, they all have a lifespan and they all end up at some point with needed repairs. This one's happening at a time where we are looking to get everything in the system up and ready for demand that comes in the summer. So we're just looking for an emergency purchase request to expedite that process rather than through more of the formal bidding process that could extend that by upwards of a significant amount of time. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to our Director of Public Works, Susie Turner, to give more information related to this in the staff report, if she has it.
Yeah, that was a really good summary. Thank you, Doug. The only thing I think I would add is we would typically go through a bid process. However, we're just nervous because of the emergency nature of losing our largest production well. In addition to, we're rebuilding one of our storage tank, one of the storage tanks in the lower zone. So really, it kind of bumps us into that emergency nature. And it does sometimes take several months to order and get the well components in. So the faster we can get those ordered, the better. It increases our opportunity to get the well up and running again by summertime. So that's the reason for the request. I'm happy to answer any questions if council has.
Any questions? Mr. Arnold?
Thank you. And I think I'm pretty sure to know the answer to this, but just because this is an emergency, I want to make sure that we are, that we have good reasoning. So when were we planning on this potentially being out of life, or was there a?
No, there was, the last time we did work on this well, so it's a line shaft turbine. The last time we did work on this pump and motor was 20 years ago. So it's about its life span. So I wouldn't say I was surprised that something started to go wrong with the well at this time, because it's been in operation for 20 years. So,
but it's something that we probably had on our plan not to do now. That's why it wasn't on the plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what's driving us to an emergency, that it went quicker than we thought it would.
Yeah, and costs to replace, we do, in our budget, we do have line items for repair and maintenance of our well components, but it's such a large well, and costs have gone up so much, I need to probably increase those line items. It's just gonna cost a lot to hire the contractor, to get the crane, to lift it up, to lift up the motor, and the pumps and the bowls, and to be able to replace it. And then just the cost to replace it it's just more now than what it used to be.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that we had that discussion a little bit
Yeah, we
more
used to
in
be
depth.
able to replace
right?
it under 80, but
Right.
that's just not the case anymore.
And I'm okay with that. Because it's an emergency one, I just wanted to make sure I had that in my head a little bit clearer.
Yeah, and if I can add on, replacing well components is nothing new. And it usually fits in under that, $80,000 threshold. And we just do it, they're not necessarily scheduled, it just happens.
Yep.
As Susie had mentioned, this is a large
One.
project, more significant than others, and costs have risen.
Yep.
So it takes it over. But yeah, it's in the scheme of our repair and maintenance, these happen.
Yep.
And they have throughout the years. It's just, this is one of our larger wells, and will push us over that $80,000 threshold.
I just wanted, for myself, I know where I stand on this. I think we need to do it. Because you generally under an emergency, I want to make sure that we're
Absolutely.
really hitting on that. So, okay.
Mr. Honor?
Yeah, so where does that come from in our budget for the over amount, over the 80,000? Is that adjustments?
Anything, we'll have anything within our, mentioned a maintenance and repair line item. Anything else will just come out of our fund balance within that fund. So any of our funds can handle a emergency repair to a certain degree. And so this will just fall under, if it goes over that fund that was authorized in the beginning of the year, we'll just do a budgetary amendment within that. And for our enterprise funds, because they are heavy on equipment and repair and maintenance within our budgetary line item, and within our resolution, we have that internal authority to increase and use those funds as necessary to keep that infrastructure going.
And then, just for clarity, the issue we had from a couple of years ago where we had the water restrictions because we had that kind of unexpected repairs, this is a different well than that. That was, I'm trying to remember, was that a well or storage?
So we've had a multitude of different components of the system. I think the first one was on the Knopfsinger well, which drove that, and then
Well, yeah, we have a large, complicated water system. So, you know, we have 14 wells now. Buffalo Hill Wells it did produce about 2,300 gallons per minute. It is our largest producing well now in the lower zone. So we've had issues with, we needed to construct new wells to support new demand for water. We had to construct a tower for demands for summertime water. Westview well was out of commission for a while, and we had a hard time getting a pump and motor for that one. I'm trying to remember the other ones. Knopfsinger actually had to go offline because of the facility was just old and we couldn't maintain it anymore. So, but you know, we've kind of worked through several different scenarios on that. And then, what was in Buffalo Armory? Well, in Grandview, I think we've had we've replaced the Grandview wells a couple times. They're a different style of well, but they've been out too. So, I think there's actually been quite a few.
Yeah, so it's a series of different, yeah. That's just like, just to be clear that we're not having repeated problem crises with the same,
We haven't had
with the
to
same
do
well. is
major
what I was getting at.
repairs on Buffalo Hill well for 20 years. It's been a really good well for us. It's just it's starting to wear and we need to get it replaced.
Yeah, all right,
It's showing its age.
yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Dowd?
Do you have any idea what you might want to raise that 80 grand to in the new budget? The 80,000 is state law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any time we go over an $80,000 expenditure, it comes before council by state law and our city code.
So that's not something we can adjust.
Not unless the state does it.
Okay.
And we did that last time. It used to be 50,000. The state bumped it up, so we brought forward an amendment to city code. So if we have that opportunity again, and I think it's still 80,000 in state law.
Is it a problem of you can't exceed that amount or
Without
you must
having
meet
to go
that
out
amount?
for competitive bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
So it's the bid process.
And then our code has it brought before council.
Okay.
Yep. So
Clear.
it's a state law that we have to then move, but they do give the option of emergency procurement. We just need to bring it in front of council and get 3/4 vote of the participants at the meeting.
And it's not bad to have that, you know, within state law. I get the point of it. It's not a problem at all. It just usually lags behind inflation. So, yeah, at one point, 50,000 made sense. And then moved it to 80 because that otherwise you're bringing everything. And eventually they'll move that 80,000 up as well.
Nope, no problem. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna open this item up for public comment. Is there anybody online? Okay, I'll look to the council for a motion. Mr. Nunley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm, make a motion that we pass Resolution 6240, a resolution declaring an emergency and authorizing the Public Works Department to proceed without advertisement or bidding with the immediate acquisition of a contractor and equipment for the repairs at Buffalo Hill Water Source.
Second.
Motion is seconded. Any discussion?
I got something here, Mr.
Dowd?
President. So I usually vote against any kind of emergency or purchase or emergency resolution that comes up, just because I don't think it's a good idea for government to work in that vein. But on the other hand, nothing over the last 2 years has been brought more to the front and has been so looked at as our water. And I'm not willing to mess with that. I want our biggest well in the lower zone on in the summertime. So I'm going to go ahead and support this.
Any other discussion?
Doug's right to do that.
Roll call. Roll call.
Councilmember Dowd,
Aye.
Counselor Fisher,
Aye.
Counselor Hunter,
Aye.
Counselor Nunley,
Aye.
Counselor Carlson,
Aye.
Counselor Gabrielle,
Aye.
and Council President Graham.
Aye. Motion carries. Third item tonight is appointment to a Tourism Business Improvement District. Mayor Johnson has asked me to go ahead and move forward with this for his appointment of Mitchell Bump to this, to the Tourism Business Improvement District. Is there a motion for that?
I would make that motion.
Ms.
Second.
Gabrielle? Seconded. Get a voice vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, gonna close tonight's reports, recommendations, and council actions and move into city manager, council and mayor reports. Mr. Russell.
Council President, members of the council, continue to watch legislature, and they're continuing to try. Let's leave it at that. Upcoming work sessions next week, we'll be talking about the biosolids project and alternative service delivery, looking at different construction methodology for that to make it more of an efficient process as well in terms of how we look to put out the bidding for contractors and managers of that project. And then just as a reminder, on the March 10th work session, that's the same Monday night as League of Cities, which will have 3 members of the council. So probably not planning on having a council meeting that night because we'll have those 3 and myself gone at the League of Cities meetings. And other than that, that is all I have.
What's the date on that? March 10th, thank you.
Anything from the council?
Question only.
Mr. Hunter?
Yeah, I guess I just asked to follow up on the public comment questions. I can't remember all of them, but if staff wouldn't mind following up with that person and their questions. And the second comment, I think, with regards to the example of the energy producing, I think our consultant, when we were speaking with them, felt that it takes more energy than you would get out of it or something like that. But he was going to look into it. He said he'd follow up on it. So I just maybe check with him if he had a chance to look into that specific example to confirm what his instinct was on that, I guess. So I can, or one of us can get back to her on her request on that. Appreciate it.
Over here? Okay, I have Ms. Gabriel.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. We did a couple things tonight that we don't normally do, and I mainly want the viewing audience and the folks that are here to know that regarding the Glacier Gold contract, we had a very extensive meeting about that previously with them and with the, Dave Prunty was here, wasn't he? Where we were discussing it, and we're in a bind with not having the ability to do that anymore. So that's how we landed where we're at. And then I'm trying to think in my years on council, if we've ever had to do an emergency bid, skip the bid process. And I don't know that we ever have.
We did it with the treatment
Oh,
equipment.
you're right. You're right.
And I'd have to look to Councilmember Dowd. I think we did that on the authorization during COVID.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Was it? I can't remember anything.
That was controversial for me for some reason.
He's got a whole list of them.
Yeah, but anyway, I wanted folks to know that we don't take that stuff lightly, and we have looked at it extensively, so thank you.
Yep. Okay, Mayor Johnson has not passed anything on to me to relay to the council, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn.